I chose to love myself right on the water's edge. A view of endless blue, a future I could pledge my whole self to. The realtor warned me of the tide, said the foundation might not hold, said I should think, decide with caution. But I was in love with the horizon line, with the way the sun sank into the sea like it was mine. To keep, I signed the papers with a hopeful shaking hand, ignoring every warning. I built a home on sand. I built a home on sand, and I called it you and me. I watched the tide roll in and out, believing it would be merciful. I thought the water would respect the walls I raised, thought the love I poured into the concrete would be praised by the waves. But the tide doesn't care about intention or design. It follows only gravity, only the moon's design. I built a home on sand, and now the ocean's at my door, and every wave that hits the foundation washes more and more of us away. I built a home on sand. I should have known the sea always takes back what it once called its own. The first cracks appeared in spring, hairline fractures in the floor. You said it was just settling, that we didn't need to shore up anything. I believed you. I painted over the lines, planted flowers in the yard, decorated with expensive signs of permanence. But the salt was in the soil, the damp was in the air, and every high tide brought the erosion of our care. A little closer by autumn, the floorboards started to warp and bend. By winter, the structure was beyond what we could mend. I built a home on sand, and I called it you and me. I watched the tide roll in and out, believing it would be merciful. I thought the water would respect the walls I raised, thought the love I poured into the concrete would be praised by the waves. But the tide doesn't care about intention or design. It follows only gravity, only the moon's design. I built a home on sand, and now the ocean's at my door, and every wave that hits the foundation washes more and more of us away. I built a home on sand. I should have known the sea always takes back what it once called its own. Now I'm walking the shoreline, gathering the debris, a splintered beam here, a shattered window there, the debris of our undoing. I'll build again, I know I will, but next time I'll find ground that knows how to hold a structure that doesn't let the waves resound through every room. Next time I'll build on rock, but for now I just collect the remnants of the home I built on sand. And I reflect, I built a home on sand. It was beautiful until it wasn't. I built a home on sand. Next time I'll build on stone. Next time woke up with it this morning, settled in my chest, a familiar way to visit a permanent quiet guest. I try to breathe around it, try to make some space. but it's taken up residency in its accustomed place. It has your particular shape, your specific gravity. It settles in the cavity where you used to be. The doctors couldn't find it. They said my heart is sound, but they don't know that yours is the territory it's found. This ache has your name, your initial, your fingerprint. It's the forensic evidence of a love that wasn't built to last. It's the residual, the aftermath, the mark you left behind when you extinguished your particular spark. It's not a wound, wounds heal, they close, they scar. This is something else entirely, this is who we are. Now a ghost in the ribcage, a permanent quiet claim. This ache has your name. This ache has your name. I've tried to evict it, try to meditate it out, try to drink it into submission, try to wear it out with exercise and travel in the company of new friends. But it's always there when the noise ends. It doesn't respond to logic, doesn't answer to reason or plea. It's a tenant with a lifetime lease, a part of the property. And some days I resent it, this weight I have to carry. And some days it's the only proof that you weren't imaginary. This ache has your name, your initial, your fingerprint. It's the forensic evidence of a love that wasn't built to last. It's the residual, the aftermath, the mark you left behind when you extinguished your particular spark. It's not a wound, wounds heal, they close, they scar. This is something else entirely, this is who we are. Now a ghost in the ribcage, a permanent quiet claim. This ache has your name. This ache has your name. It's part of me now. This ache, this weight, this claim is the permanent quiet evidence that you exist, that you came. This ache has your name. I don't want it to leave. It's all I have of you, all I have to grieve. This ache has your name. Learn to carry it with grace. They write songs about beginnings, about the spark and the start, about the first glance, the first touch, the first uncovering of heart. But no one writes about the ending, about the grace and the goodbye, about the beauty of a love that's reached its final sky. You were never meant to be my fur. I know that now. You were the closing chapter, the hand on the plow that turned the soil of my old self, prepared her for the seed of who I become after. You were exactly what I need to win, not to begin, not to start, to complete. You were the period at the end of a long and modern sentence, neat and final. You were the closing of the door that opened me to what comes next, to what I'm looking for. You were a beautiful land, a graceful, gentle close, the final perfect stanza in the poem of what I chose to become. You weren't the beginning of my story, that's true, but God, you were a beautiful end. And I'll always thank you for the way you finished me, for the way you closed the book with such care, such tenderness, such a deliberate look at what we were. You were a beautiful end, not a failure, not a fall, just the quiet, patient closing of a necessary fault. I used to think that love should last forever, to be real, that anything that ended was a wound that couldn't heal. But you taught me that some love are seasons, not the whole year, that some loves are the sunset, not the atmosphere of all day. You were the amber hour, the golden fading light, the final gorgeous burst of color before the coming night. And I fought it, I raged against the dying of the glow. I didn't understand that endings are part of the flow. You were a beautiful end, a graceful, gentle close, the final perfect stanza in the poem of what I chose to become. You weren't the beginning of my story, that's true, but God, you were a beautiful end. And I'll always thank you for the way you finished me, for the way you closed the book with such care, such tenderness, such a deliberate look at what we were. You were a beautiful end, not a failure, not a fall, just the quiet, patient closing of a necessary fault. Now I stand at the edge of what we were, looking out at what's ahead. And I don't see your face in the future, I see you in the past instead, where you belong, where you were always meant to be. The beautiful ending that opened up the rest of me. You were a beautiful end, the period, not the comma, the close, not the promise. You were a beautiful end, and I am ready for what begins. I didn't know that breathing it was a duet, not a solo act. I didn't know my lungs had learned to match the steady, quiet fact of your inhale and exhale, the rhythm of your chest, the way you sigh and sleep and settle in to rest. We breathe together side by side, a synchronized machine, two sets of bellows pumping air, a partnership unseen. And now the bed is just my rhythm, the room just my own pace, and every breath I take feels like I'm losing at the race. Learning to breathe alone, to fill my own two lungs with air that doesn't carry the echo of your tongue saying my name on the exhale, whispering on the end. I'm learning to respirate without you as my skin's constant companion. My diaphragm forgets the choreography of us. It stutters, stalls and ceases, trying to find the key to a solitary breathing. My chest is a solo instrument, playing a duet to music, and the silence is heaven sent and hellish. I'm learning to breathe alone, long at a time. catch myself holding my breath, waiting for your cue. Your lies I'm blue in the face, waiting for you to inhale first, to set the pace, to show me when to start. But you're not here to conduct this orchestra that's hard and long collaboration. I have to be the maestro now, to wave my own baton, to take a bow for a performance of one. The stage is vast and cold, and I'm learning to fill the silence with a story I can hold. I'm learning to breathe alone, to fill my own two lungs with air that doesn't carry the echo of your tongue saying my name on the exhale, whispering on the end. I'm learning to respirate without you as my skin's constant companion. My diaphragm forgets the choreography of us, stutter stalls and seizes, trying to find the key to solitary breathing. My chest is a solo instrument, playing a duet's music, and the silence is heaven sent and hellish. I'm learning to breathe alone, one lung at a time, trying to find a rhythm isn't yours and mine. The body is a stubborn thing, it holds on to patterns, keeps the memory of your breathing, even as you sleep in another bed, in another city with another heart. My lungs still reach for yours, still play their part in a duet that ended. But every day a breath comes easier, every day the silence feels a little less like a freezer. I'm learning to breathe alone, and some days it almost feels like air. Learning to breathe alone and inhale, exhale, just me. The rhythm is coming back, the rhythm is finally free. Learning to breathe alone, and it's enough, it's enough. I came into this world already slightly cracked, a hairline fracture in my porcelain, a tiny quiet fact of my construction. I was delicate, easily chipped or broken, so I learned to move with caution, learned to never stoke. The fire's too high, I kept myself in velvet, wrapped in foam, to protect my fragile surfaces from the wear and tear of home. Then you arrived with gentle hands and promised you'd be careful. You said you understood that loving me required prayerful attention, and I believed you. I let you hold my china heart, I let you cup my fragile self and promise not to part. I was fragile, handled with care, the label on my soul, but you were careless with my pieces. You were reckless with the hope. You didn't mean to drop me, I don't think it was designed, but your hands grew confident. Your grip forgot the line between holding and possessing, between tenderness and claiming. Now I'm in 1,000 pieces, scattered without name. I was fragile, handled with care, I told you from the start. You said you understood, you still broke my heart. I'm trying shards upon the floor. Some are too small to salvage, some I don't recognize anymore. They've been mixed with other debris, with the dust of our decay. And I'm not sure which pieces are me and which are you at play. I find a curve that might have been the edge of my own life, a sliver that might be the trust I had in your behalf. I'm trying to reconstruct a self from what your carelessness has left me. It's a patient, quiet, holy, slow process. I was fragile, handled with care, the label on my soul, but you were careless with my pieces. You were reckless with the whole. You didn't mean to drop me, I don't think it was designed, but your hands grew confident, your grip forgot the line between holding and possessing, between tenderness and claiming. Now I'm in 1,000 pieces, scattered without name. I was fragile, handled with care, I told you from the start. You said you understood, you still broke my heart. But here's the thing about porcelain, it can be remade with gold and patience. What was shattered can be inlaid into something new, something stronger, something that will show the scars but also the survival, something that will know. Fragile, handled with care, the new label reads. Fragile, but I will heal. Handle me with the grace that I now give myself. Fragile, handled with care. I am in my own keeping now. We didn't pop, we didn't burst, there were no sudden bang, no dramatic rupture, no catastrophic clang. We were a slow leak, a gradual subtle hiss, a tire losing pressure, a steady quiet miss of the mark I didn't notice when the tread began to thin, when the grip on the road of us became harder to begin. I just kept driving, kept believing we were fine, while the air was slowly, silently escaping the design. It was a love like a slow leak, a gentle fade inside, a death by 1,000 small deflations, a quiet creeping goodbye. Not enough to notice on any given day, but over weeks and months, a subtle, sure decay. You forget to hold my hand, I forget to ask about your dream. Small absences accumulated, a slow and steady stream of loss of love, like a slow leaking. By the time I felt the rim scraping on the asphalt, the love was already dim. I keep replaying the footage, looking for the first escape, the initial tiny puncture, the minuscule small shape of our undoing. Was it the Tuesday you came home late and didn't call? The Friday I was crying and you didn't ask at all. Each moment by itself was nothing, a pinhole in the air, not worth mentioning, not worth the fight, not worth the time or care. But pinholes multiply and pressure drops, and what was fooling around becomes a flat, exhausted thing, useless on the ground. It was a love like a slow leak, a gentle fade inside, a death by 1,000 small deflations, a quiet creeping goodbye. Not enough to notice on any given day, day, but over weeks and months, a subtle sure decay. You forget to hold my hand, I'd forget to ask about your dream. Small absences accumulating, a slow and steady stream of loss of love, like a slow leak. And by the time I felt the rim scraping on the asphalt, the love was already growing dim. A sudden ending gives you something to point at, something to blame, or something clean. Rupture a wound with a clear name, but it slowly leaves you questioning, leaves you second guessing still. Was it ever really full, or was it always destined to spill? Love like a slow leak, we didn't see it go. Just woke up one morning on the rim in the snow. Love like a slow leak, quiet, quiet, gone. I never learned to say I need you without adding don't leave. I never learned to ask for love without first learning to grieve. It's potential absence, I was fluent in the grammar of goodbye before I ever learned the vocabulary of the lullaby. So when you came with open hands and a voice soft and sure, I didn't know how to receive you, how to accept the cure. For my loneliness, I kept waiting for the other shoe, the inevitable departure, the end of me and you. My love language is lost, is preparing for the end. I speak fluent farewell, I conjugate when and if and bend until you break. I'm a translator of absence, an interpreter of gone, before the leaving even happens, before the final dawn. I hear I love you and my brain translates one day you won't. I hear forever and I hear the ticking clock, the silent fade. Oh no, my love language is lost. I'm trying to learn a new tongue, but the accent of abandonment is the only one I've sung. You'd say I'm not going anywhere and not here, not yet. You promised me tomorrow and I'd already be in debt to yesterday. I was always calculating the cost of loving you, the price of admission, the inevitable loss. You called it self-protection, I called it being wise. You said I was looking for the exit in your loving eyes. Maybe you were right, maybe I was so afraid of the fall that I forgot to notice I was standing tall. My love language is lost, is prepared for the end. I speak fluent farewell, I conjugate when and if and bend until you break. I'm a translator of absence, an interpreter of gone, before the leaving even happens, before the final dawn. I hear I love you and my brain translates one day you won't. I hear forever and I hear the ticking clock, the silent fade. Oh no, my love language is lost. I'm trying to learn a new tongue, but the accent of abandonment is the only one I've sung. Now you're gone and my fluency is finally useful. I can narrate my own heartbreak, I can make it beautiful, but I would trade every perfect word syllable, one breath, no translation. Just stay. I used to dream in technicolor, vivid, sharp and bright, with skies of impossible blue and sunset satellite. My subconscious was a canvas where the boldest hues would play a carnival of color at the closing of the day. But since you left, my dreaming has faded into gray. The scarlet of your sweater, the green of your eyes way of catching light, the gold of morning on your sleeping face, all leached out, all desaturated, all without a trace. I dream in monochrome now, shades of grief and white, a grayscale cinema that plays throughout the night. You appear in silver, in charcoal and ash, a beautiful phantom without any flash of the color you once wore. My sleeping mind has learned that brilliance is too painful, that brightness only burns. Dreaming monochrome now, a safer muted dream, where the colors of our love don't fracture at the seams. Last night I saw our kitchen, the one with yellow walls, but in my dream it was ivory, quiet, waiting for your calls. The blue plate I served your dinner on was pewter, cold and flat. The red wine in our glasses was a murky gray vat. You smiled at me across the table, your face in silver screen, a film noir version of the man I'd once called my everything. I woke up reaching for the color of your hair and found only the absence, only the gray air. I dream in monochrome now, shades of grief and white, a grayscale cinema that plays throughout the night. You appear in silver, in charcoal and ash, a beautiful phantom without any flash of the color you once wore. My sleeping mind has learned that brilliance is too painful, that brightness only burns. I dream monochrome now, a shaded color with dreams. I dream in monochrome. Oh, they say that color would turn. I dream. They say that color will turn. They say that color will taste. They say that color will return when I've finished with my grief. That one morning I'll wake up and see the world in brief. bright bursts of hue again, but I'm not sure I wanna see the technicolor proof that you are no longer here with me. I dream in monochrome. It's easier this way to see you in the gray, to not remember how you've been. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. Until the color fades to black. I dream in monochrome until the color fades to black. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. It's easier this way. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome. I dream in monochrome until the color fades to black. I dream in of catching light. I dream in monochrome. Oh, I dream in monochrome. I used to dream in, I dream in monochrome. By dreaming. You're still out there somewhere, breathing the same air. Your heart still beats its rhythm, your lungs still fill with care. You wake up in the morning, you drink your coffee black. You go about your business, you never once look back. And I am here in stasis, performing a ritual of grief for a man who isn't dead, but it's giving me no relief. From absence, you're not gone, not really, you're just gone from me. And mourning the living is its own particular agony. I'm mourning the living, grieving the still alive. You walk the earth, you talk, you breathe, you somehow thrive without me. And I'm supposed to celebrate the fact you're not deceased, but you're dead to me, and that's a different kind of beast. It's not the clean grief of a funeral, the ritual, the wake. It's the messy daily mourning of a heart you didn't take. When you left, you're still here somewhere, but you're not here with me. And mourning the living is a slow, quiet your social media, a digital wake, a scroll through the evidence of your survival, the proof you're still whole. You're at concerts, you're at parties, you're smiling with new friends, and I'm here in my grief, waiting for the grief to end. It would be easier if you died. I think in some ways there'd be a body, a burial, a set number of days of mourning, but your death is ongoing, up perpetually, and I'm stuck in the waiting room of my own bereave. I'm mourning, been grieving, but still alive. You walk the earth, you talk, you breathe, you somehow thrive without me, and I'm supposed to celebrate the fact you're not deceased, but you're dead to me, and that's a different kind of beast. It's not the clean grief of a funeral, the ritual, the wake. It's the messy daily mourning of a heart you didn't take. When you left, you're still here somewhere, but you're not here with me. And mourning the living is a slow, quiet cruelty. One day I'll stop checking, one day your name won't be the first I type into the search bar, quenching my own thirst for pain. One day you'll be truly dead to me, but today I'm mourning you, still, always, constantly. Mourning the living, you're not in a grave, you're just not with me, and somehow that's worse. Mourning the living, mourning you, mourning me, mourning us. I started practicing goodbye the moment that we met, a foolish kind of insurance, a safety, a bet against the inevitable I whispered in mirrors when you were in the shower, quelling my own fears. I can let him go, I'd say I was fine before he came. I'd practice nonchalance and grace, the absence of all blame. I rehearsed it in the car, on the train, in the queue, 1,000 different versions of me letting go of you. But the goodbye I practiced wasn't ready for the real. It didn't have the vocabulary for how this would feel. It didn't know the way to keep surrendered from a hand. It didn't know the silence of a house that you once meant. It didn't know the physics of a future redirected. It didn't know the volume of a heart so disconnected. The goodbye I practiced was a matinee, a dress rehearsal, a play. The real one had no lines, no script, no graceful getaway. I thought if I prepared enough, the blow would be less blunt. I'd have my armor ready, my emotional stunt coordinator on speed dial. I'd walk away with poison, I'd be troubled by the deafening internal noise. But when the moment came, my practice lines all fled, and all I had was silence and the inside of my head screaming, no elegant farewell, no I wish you well, or take care, just the ragged, desperate breathing of a soul laid utterly bare. But the goodbye I practiced wasn't ready for the real. It didn't have the vocabulary for how this would feel. It didn't know the way to keep surrendered from peaceful getaway. You can't rehearse for heartbreak, it's always open at night. The stage is dark, the audience is your own fading light. And all the practice in the world can't teach you how to breathe when the person you've been breathing for decides that they must leave. That the goodbye I practice, so polished, so refined, never mentioned that I leave my whole self behind. The goodbye I practiced was nothing like goodbye. Thought our love could grow in anything, even in the drought. I watered it with tears each time you had a doubt. I fed it with my optimism, my stubborn, foolish belief that roots this deep could weather any season of grief. I didn't know the water I was giving it to drink was salted with my sorrow, with the frequency I'd sink into this space. I'm sorry I accepted from your lips was another dose of sodium in the soil of our ship. There's salt water in the soil where our garden used to grow. Every seed we planted there is buried cold and slow. To rot I kept on watering, believing it would rain, something fresh and cleansing to alleviate the strain. But all my tears were ocean, all my hope was bright, and love can't live in solitude no matter how divine. So water in the soil, I poison our own ground with the very grief I tried to drown. The first thing that died was trust, it shriveled at the root. Then respect wilted yellow, dropped its fragile, bitter fruit. The laughter was the next to go, then the easy, quiet peace. Then the passion dried and crumbled its release. A final desperate fragrance, and still I poured and poured my saline solution, thinking I could afford to lose a little more of me, a little more of us, in service of a harvest that would only gather dust. There's salt water in the soil where our garden used to grow. Every seed we planted there is buried cold and slow. To rot I kept on watering, believing it would rain, something fresh and cleansing to alleviate the strain. But all my tears were ocean, all my hope was bright, and love can't live in solitude no matter how divine. So water in the soil, I poison our own ground with the very grief I tried to drown. Now I'm letting the ground lie full, letting the soul leach out. I'm learning that not every drought is solved by tears and shout. Sometimes the bravest thing to do is set down the watering can and trust that the earth remembers how to heal itself and span. So water in the soil, the legacy of our toil. Nothing grows here anymore, nothing grows. Salt water in the soil. Our house used to be an orchestra, every room an instrument, playing the music of our life together, the life we spent. In harmony, the kitchen was a brass section, bold and bright, with the clatter of pans and the hiss of steam. The morning light catching the countertops, the living room was strings, the cello of a reading chair, the viola that my being strummed when I was near you. The bedroom was a piano, soft and low, playing lullabies at midnight, playing adagios. Now it's a symphony of silence, every instrument at rest. The strings are still, the brass is cold, the piano's covered chest holds no music. The conductor has left the hall, the audience is empty. There's no encore, no call for more, just the echo of what played here, the resonance of sound that used to fill these rooms when we were both still found. A symphony of silence playing on repeat, the quietest composition of our love's complete defeat. Sometimes I think I hear it, the ghost of our music faint, a violin phrase here, a cello line there, a complaint from the floorboards. But it's just the house settling the old bones of this building, remembering what it was to not be alone with me. I used to sing in the shower, used to hum while I could. Now silence is my constant companion, my familiar, my book of hours. I've learned the vocabulary of quiet, the grammar of hush, and my voice once so confident now rarely dares to rush. Now it's a symphony of silence, every instrument at rest. The strings are still, the brass is cold, the piano's covered chest holds no music. The conductor has left the hall, the audience is empty. There's no encore, no call for more, just the echo of what played here, the resonance of sound that used to fill these rooms when we were both still found. A symphony of silence playing on repeat, the quietest composition of our love's complete defeat. One day I'll learn to play again, one day I'll raise my voice in song, one day I'll make this house, these rooms, my choice of instrument. But today I sit in the quiet and I hear the symphony of what we were, and I shed a quiet tear. A symphony of silence, the music has moved on, but the echo stays, the echo stays. It sat in its velvet bed, a circle of golden light, a promise of forever, a future burning bright. Catching sunlight, a halo on your hand, and believe with all my being in the power of that band. It wasn't just a jewel, it wasn't just a ring, it was the song we'd always sing, the anchor, the tether, the string that bound us every glance. That it was a reassurance, a creed, a witness to the covenant, the planting of the seed. But the ring became a stone the day you slipped it off. The gold lost all its warmth. The diamond had enough of pretending it wasn't a circle anymore. It was a way to shackle and anchor, a verdict of fate. I hold it in my palm now, cold and still and dense, a geological specimen of our failed foolish pretense. The ring became a stone, heavy in my head, a fossil of a promise that couldn't withstand the sand of time. The ring became a stone, and I became the one who carries the weight of what we thought we had begun. I thought about returning it, melting it down, letting it go back into the earth, back to the elements that made it glow for a moment. But I can't, it's evidence, it's proof that once someone looked at me and swore an eternal truth. Even if the truth expired, even if the vow was breached, the ring remains the artifact, the relic of the speech we made. It's the only part of our forever that didn't end, a circle of cold metal, a promise that couldn't bend. But the ring became a stone the day you slipped it off. The gold lost all its warmth. The diamond had enough of pretending it wasn't a circle anymore. It was a way to shackle and anchor, a verdict of fate. I hold it in my palm now, cold and still and dense, a geological specimen of our failed foolish pretense. The ring became a stone, heavy in my head, a fossil of a promise that couldn't withstand the sand of time. The ring became a stone, and I became the one who carries the weight of what we thought we had begun. Maybe one day I'll throw it in the ocean, let it sink to the dark and silent floor. Let the water be the link between what was and what will be. But for now I hold it tight, the circle of our failure, this cold and heavy light. The ring became a stone, and I became the sea, wearing down its edges with the salt of memory. The ring became a stone, and I am learning to let it go, to let it sink, to let it be a stone at the bottom of me. The rooms here have that certain hush, the quiet of a grip. The air is thick with sediment, with memories unzip. Your coat still hangs in the hallway, a shroud upon the hook. Your books still line the shelves, a library I mistook for life, but it's just artifacts now, relics of a man who once inhabited this space but had a different plan. I walk the corridors and feel the weight of all the air that's held its breath since you departed, waiting I don't know where. This house is a tomb, and I'm the keeper of the dead. I dust your absence daily, make your favorite bread that you'll never eat. I fluff the pillows on the chair where you'll never sit. I perform this ritual of care for a ghost. The walls are mausoleums, the floorboards are the vault. I made a shrine of art, a clown, a monument to fall. This house is a tomb and I'm the one who won't let go of the corpse of us, the skeleton of what we used to know. I should sell it, should abandon it, should let a new family in, to fill these halls with laughter, to let new life begin. But I'm afraid if I unlock the door, if I release the air, the last remaining molecules of you disappear. And then what will I have? Just memories then. It doesn't hold the weight of flesh, doesn't let me into the past. So I stay here, the curator, the guide of this museum of our marriage, where our hopes and dreams all die. This house is a tomb, and I'm the keeper of the dead. I dust your absence daily, make your favorite bread that you'll never eat. I fluff the pillows on the chair where you'll never sit. I perform this ritual of care for a ghost. The walls are mausoleums, the floorboards are the vault. I made a shrine of art, a decline, a monument to fall. This house is a tomb and the one who wanna let go of the corpse of us, the skeleton of what we used to know. But a tomb is for the dead, and I am still alive in some way. There's a world outside where people learn to thrive without preserving relics, without worshiping the gone. Maybe it's time to lock the crypt and finally face the dawn. This house is a tomb, and I am not buried here, not anymore, not anymore. This house was a tomb, but I'm leaving it this year. I found it in the back of the closet, folded neat and square. The sweater you gave me that first winter, the one I used to wear to sleep in when you traveled, to hold your scent at bay, to wrap myself in you when you were miles and miles away. It's starting to unravel now, a thread loose at the cuff, a small impatient undoing, a gentle slow rebuff of all the warmth it used to hold. I pull the thread a little and watch the careful knitting come undone, the knit and purl in middle of the fabric separating. It's a quiet small violence to watch something once so whole come undone in silence. I'm unraveling the sweater, pulling thread by thread, following the path of wool from the living to the dead of us. Each loop I pull is a memory released, a moment of our love that's finally found its peace. The collar was the first year of hope and new design. The sleeves were our expiration, the learning of the line between me and you, the body was the middle years, the comfortable assumed warmth, the quieting the fears. I'm unraveling the sweater, and with every stitch I free a little more of you, a little more of me. And I thought I'd feel more sorrow, more grief, more desperate loss, but with each free loop of yarn I feel the weight come off. I was holding on to fabric that had long since lost its shape, a garment that was more nostalgia than it was an escape. The wool is piling at my feet, a soft and neutral mound, the ghost of what we used to be. Unraveling on the ground, I wind it into balls of yarn, clean and smooth and new, and maybe knit a different garment with a different point of view. I'm unraveling the sweater, pulling thread by thread, following the path of wool from the living to the dead of us. Each loop I pull is a memory released, a moment of our love that's finally found its peace. The collar was the first year, a hope, a new design. The sleeves were our expiration, the learning of the line between me and you. The body was the middle years, the comfortable assumed warmth, the quiet eating the fears. I'm unraveling the sweater, and with every stitch I free a little more of you, a little more of me. It's not that I don't treasure what the sweater used to be. It kept me warm through winters that were harsh and cold and free of mercy, but the wool is scratchy now, the shape is stretched and worn, and what was once a comfort is now just something I've outgrown. Unraveling the sweater, unlearning you, untangling the threads of a love that I outgrew. Unraveling the sweater, and at the end of the string I find myself, just myself, and that's everything. And that's everything. I woke up this morning and the light was all wrong, a pale anemic imitation, a diluted song of brightness. The shadows had no contrast, the edges had no line. The whole world looked like it was photographed in monochrome and decline. I checked the window, checked the forecast, checked the sky for cloud, but the sky was clear, cerulean, not a single wisp, not proud. And then I understood it wasn't the sun that failed to rise. It was you, you took the warmth with you, you took the light, the prize. You took the sun with you when you walked out the door. You left me in a twilight I've never felt before. The days are just erasures, the brightness just a fact, but the warmth, the glow, the golden hour, those you didn't pack. I'm living in the aftermath, of your solar retreat, a planet in the shadow of your irreversible defeat of gravity. You took the sun with you, and I'm left to freeze in the long cold night of your absence, in the permanent dim squeeze. Say it's a beautiful day, let's go sit in the park. They don't understand I'm navigating permanent dark. The sun is shining, technically I see it with my eyes, but it's hitting a different atmosphere, a different set of skies. Yours now, you've colonized the warmth, taken it to your new shore, and left me with the negative that stays the evermore of cold. I'm not complaining, I'm just stating what is true. Wherever you are now, the sun is, and where I am, it's blue. You took the sun with you when you walked out the door. You left me the twilight I've never felt before. The days are just durations, the brightness just a fact, but the warmth, the glow, the golden hour, those you didn't pack. I'm living in the aftermath of your solar retreat, a planet in the shadow of your irreversible defeat of gravity. You took the sun with you, and I'm left to freeze in the long cold night of your absence, in the permanent dim squeeze. They say every star burns out eventually, even the sun. I guess our fusion just ran out of fuel, our race was run. But I didn't think the cooling would feel this vast, this deep. I didn't think the darkness would be so hard to sleep. You took the sun, you took your warmth, you took the reason for the calm. You took the sun with you and left me in the Our hand still reaches for yours in the theater dark. My body doesn't know you've left, doesn't know the spark has died. It operates on memory, on habit, on the ghost of your palm in mine, the warmth I used to hold the most. I wake up sometimes and my arm is stretched across the bed, searching for the continent of your chest, the familiar spread of your torso. It finds only sheets, only the cold expanse of mattress where your body used to make its permanent stance. You are my phantom limb, the ache of what is gone, a presence in the absence, a nerve that carries on, firing signals to a part of me that no longer exists. you away, your gravitational station. Phantom limb of you I reach, and you are never there. But the ghost of you still tingles, still has weight, still has care. I set the table for two and catch myself at it. I pour coffee in your favorite cup, the habitual quiet fit of memory. I don't realize what I've done until the mother sits across from mine, you cold and empty. And I feel the tug of your boast. It's not sadness, not exactly. It's more like a twitch, a neurological misfire, a persistent phantom itch. I can't scratch, you're not here. I know you're not here, I know. But my body keeps expecting you, keeps putting on your show. You are my phantom limb, the ache of what it's gone, a presence in the absence, a nerve that carries on, fiery signals to a part of me that no longer exists. I feel you in the mornings, in the evenings, in the midst of the sleep. My body hasn't learned the amputation of you. It still expects your way, your gravitational station. Phantom lived on you, I reach, and you are never there. But the ghost of you still tingles, still has weight, still has care. They say the phantom pain fades with time, that the nerve endings learn to quiet, that the ghost eventually agrees to adjourn. It's haunting, but they don't say how long it takes to stop the reach for a hand that's no longer there, for a love that's out of speed. Phantom limb of you, the ache I can't explain, the reach that always finds only air, only rain. Phantom limb of you, my body's slow to learn, but it's learned you. Silence was just silence, the absence of sound, a blank space between noises, neutral, common, unprofound. I didn't notice it, I filled it with my thoughts and dreams, a quiet, empty canvas for my internal silent streams. But you arrived with conversation, with music, with your voice, and taught my ears to listen, taught my silence to rejoice in your particular frequency. You colonized the quiet and made the absence of you sound like a perpetual rite of loss. Now silence is a character, a presence in the room, a third thing in this relationship, a witness to our tune. Is the silence after you, the quiet you left behind, a negative of all the noise we made when you were mine. It has its own texture, its own weight, its own particular taste. It's the echo of your laughter, the ghost of your haste through hallways. It's the absence of your key in the lock. It's the phone that doesn't ring, it's the knock that's never knocked. The silence after you is the loudest sound I know, a deafening roaring quiet that won't let me go. I used to crave the quiet, beg for just an hour of peace from your constant conversation, your questions, your critiques. Now I give anything to hear you argue, hear you shout, to fill this mausoleum with the chaos of your doubt. But the silence is relentless, it's patient and it's fast. It's the permanent cold evidence that you're no longer casting this production. The stage is empty, the audience is gone, and I'm just speaking lines to air, waiting for the dawn. Is the silence after you, the quiet you left behind, a negative of all the noise we made when you were mine. It has its own texture, its own weight, its own particular taste. It's the echo of your laughter, the ghost of your haste through hallways. It's the absence of your key in the lock. It's the phone that doesn't ring, it's the knock that's never knocked. The silence after you is the loudest sound I know, a deafening roaring quiet that won't let me go. Let me go. They say silence is golden, but this silence is lead. It's heavy, it's toxic, it's the chorus of the dead relationships. It sings a constant, low, mournful tone, a requiem for a love that I buried on my own. The silence after you, it has your voice, it has your name, it has the ghost of our entire flame. The silence after you is the only thing that remains. I still hear it sometimes at 5:47, the particular metal music of you coming home again. The deadbolt surrender, the toneless of release, the symphony of your arrival, of our temporary peace. I'd be in the kitchen, maybe reading, maybe lost in thought, and that sound will be the answer to the questions that I fought with all day. You'll hear you back. The house is whole again, and the echo of your key turning will let the light in. Now every lock is silent, every deadbolt stays in place, and I catch myself still listening for the music of your face. Arriving is a phantom sound, an auditory ghost. The click of you returning is the thing I miss the most. Not the grand declarations, not the sweeping cinematic scenes, but the small domestic soundtrack of our ordinary dreams. The echo of your key turning in the lock at end of day. The sound of you choosing me, of you coming home to stay. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me still waits to hear that lullaby of metal and of presence. Maybe some part still believes that one evening at 5:47 my waiting will receive its answer. I know it's foolish, know you have a different door, a different lock, a different key, a different waiting floor, but the habit of expecting you is carved into my bones, and silence is the heaviest of all the heavy stones. Still listening for the music of your face. Arriving is a phantom sound, an auditory ghost. The click of you returning is the thing I miss the most. Not the grand declarations, not the sweeping cinematic scenes, but the small domestic soundtrack of our ordinary dreams. The echo of your key turning in the lock at end of day. The sound of you choosing me, of you coming home to stay. One day I'll change the locks, I'll take your key off the ring. I'll stop listening for a sound that no longer means anything. But today at 5:07 I held my breath and strained to hear the ghost of you arriving, the phantom of you near. Echo of your key, evening light comes through the blinds at a certain angle now, and casts a shape upon the wall that I don't know how to unsee. It's your silhouette, the outline of your head, the curve of your shoulder, the way you stood beside the bed. At the end of day, loosening your tie, letting down your It's a trickle light and shadow, a photographic card from the deck of memory. I know you're not really there, but the shape of you is so precise, it's more than I can bear. Your shadow on my wall, a visitor at dusk, a brief familiar darkness in the amber fading musk of evening. I don't move, I don't breathe, I let it stay for just a moment longer before the light gives way. Tonight is the closest I come to your presence anymore. This phantom projection from a time before the war between us. Your shadow on my wall, a daily gentle haunt, the outline of a man I love more than I knew I could want. I've tried to change the angle of the blinds, adjust the light to banish this particular shadow from its daily scheduled rite of appearance, but it finds a way to crack a new degree to project your absence into the room to visit me. It's persistent, this silhouette, this negative of you, this daily reminder of the shape I thought I knew. And some days I resent it, this ghost of what has been, and some days I wait for it, the closest I can get to skin. Your shadow on my wall, a visitor at dusk, a brief familiar darkness in the amber fading musk of evening. I don't move, I don't breathe, I let it stay for just a moment longer before the light gives way. Tonight it's the closest I come to your presence anymore. This phantom projection from a time before the war between us. Your shadow on my wall, a daily gentle haunt, the outline of a man I love more than I knew I could want. One day I'll change the blinds entirely, you maybe move, and the light will find a different angle, a different groove. The travel in your shadow will find another wall to dress, and I will be released from this quiet daily caress of memory. But not today, today I let it stay and pretend for a moment that you didn't go away. Your shadow on my wall, the only part of you that stayed at all. Your shadow